Imagine that deep in the mountains of central Afghanistan, hidden from human eyes for more than 2,000 years under piles of soil and stone, lies a hidden treasure, not made of gold or silver, but one of the greatest artistic masterpieces in human history. In 2001, when the world was shocked by the explosion of two giant Buddha statues in Bamiyan, few knew that even greater secrets were hidden in this ancient valley. All eyes were fixed on the empty space of the two standing Buddhas. But no one knew that perhaps the largest Buddha in the world has been hidden nearby, hidden under layers of soil for 1,000 years. Today, I want to share with you a secret that until a few years ago was only a legend among the indigenous people of Bamiyan. But now, with the most advanced archaeological technologies, it is being revealed. The third Buddha of Bamiyan. A huge reclining statue measuring more than 300 meters long, which, if fully discovered, will be the largest ancient statue in the world. This is a story of discovery that could change everything we know about the history of Buddhism in Central Asia. Bamiyan is an ancient valley in the heart of the Hindu Kush. It was once one of the most important Buddhist centers in the world. Along the Silk Road, this valley was a meeting point between Eastern and Western cultures, and merchants, pilgrims, and tourists traveled to it from all over Asia. Bamiyan is world famous for its two colossal Buddha statues carved into the rocks. The Great Buddha is 53 meters high, and the Small Buddha is 35 meters high. These masterpieces of art were created in the 6th century AD, about 1,500 years ago, by Buddhist monks and local artists. The Buddha statues of Bamiyan were a unique example of Gandhara art, a style that was a fusion of Greco-Roman and Indo-Buddhist art. The faces of these statues were influenced by Greek art, and their costumes reflected the Indian style, a combination that showed how Bamiyan was a place where different cultures met. Around these statues, more than 1,000 caves were dug, where Buddhist monks lived, meditated, and studied. The walls of many of these caves were decorated with colorful paintings. They are considered the oldest examples of oil painting in the world, and Buddhist artists had invented this technique in Bamiyan centuries before Europe. But this magnificent heritage was destroyed in 2001 by the order of Mullah Muhammad Omar, the leader of the Taliban at the time. This act, which was condemned worldwide, is considered one of the greatest cultural crimes of the 21st century. Dr. Zuma or Lali Tarzi, a prominent Afghan archaeologist, says that, "When I heard the news of the explosion of the statues, it was as if a part of me had been destroyed. These statues were not just stones, but a symbol of the identity and historical continuity of the Afghan people." After the fall of the Taliban, the Bamiyan Valley was listed as a World Heritage Site in danger by UNESCO, and efforts began to protect what remained. But the most important discovery was yet to come, one that seemed even greater than the lost statues. Years before the destruction of the Buddha statues, a legend had been circulating among the indigenous people of Bamiyan. A story about a giant sleeping Buddha, or reclining Buddha, buried somewhere in the Bamiyan Valley, and many considered the legend to be just an old story. But some of the village elders insisted that their fathers had known about the existence of such a statue. According to these stories, when Islam arrived in the region, Buddhist monks decided to bury the largest Buddhist statue underground to protect their artistic treasures. They hoped that one day the conditions would be right to reveal it again. Qasim Hakimi, an elder in Bamiyan, said that his grandfather always said that a large Buddha slept near our village. He said that when he was a child, the village elders would point to a spot on the ground and say, "The Buddha's head was lying here and his feet were there."
Over the centuries, many tourists and archaeologists have heard this story, but no one took it seriously, and even French archaeologists who were excavating in Bamiyan in the 1920s considered the legend nothing more than a local story. But in 2004, something happened that changed all the equations. A team of Japanese archaeologists led by Professor Takari Yasuo of Kyoto University traveled to the area with the aim of documenting the remains of Bamiyan. During their research, they came across local accounts of the sleeping Buddha and decided to investigate the legend. Professor He Kuo-chi began his exploration using ancient Chinese texts, particularly the travel log of Xuanzang, a Chinese monk who visited Bamiyan in the 7th century. In his travelogue, Xuanzang had mentioned 3 Buddha statues in Bamiyan: 2 standing statues, which were the famous Bamiyan statues, and a statue of a Buddha entering nirvana, depicted in a reclining position. This clue led the Japanese team to focus their search. Using non-invasive archaeological methods such as ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry, they began to examine a hill in the eastern part of the Bamiyan Valley that locals believed was associated with the legend of the reclining Buddha, and this is how the first real signs of the existence of the 3rd Buddha of Bamiyan were discovered. In the summer of 2008, the Japanese archaeological team announced some surprising results. Ground-penetrating radar data confirmed the existence of an artificial structure about 300 meters long under a hill in the eastern part of the Bamiyan Valley. The structure, which was in the form of a reclining human figure, matched Xuanzang's description of the reclining Buddha exactly. Professor He Kuo-chi said at a press conference in Kabul that we are cautiously announcing that we have found strong evidence of a reclining Buddha statue in Bamiyan. If our findings are correct, it would be the largest reclining Buddha statue in the world and one of the largest ancient statues in human history. At nearly 300 meters long, the reclining Buddha of Bamiyan is much larger than the 2 standing statues and is even 6 times larger than the famous reclining Buddha in Thailand, which is 46 meters long. If finally confirmed, the discovery could be one of the most important archaeological finds of the century. But fully uncovering the colossal statue faces many challenges. The statue is buried under multiple layers of soil, rock, and sediment, and excavating it will not only require a lot of money, but also advanced technology to ensure that the structure of the statue is not damaged. Dr. Mohammad Azizi, an Afghan archaeologist who worked with the Japanese team, says we must proceed with extreme caution. The statue may have been buried for 1,500 years, and the process of uncovering it could damage its structure. Unlike standing statues that were carved into the rock, the statue is likely made of clay and organic materials and is very fragile. In 2010, the joint Afghan-Japanese team conducted further tests and, using more advanced methods such as electrical tomography, obtained more detailed images of the underground structure. The images showed that the statue was probably built on a stone platform and has fine details such as folds of clothing and a special position of the hands, which in Buddhist symbology indicates the entry into nirvana. Renowned Afghan archaeologist Dr. Zamari Ali Tarzi says that if the findings are confirmed, we are faced with a treasure that could completely transform our understanding of Buddhist civilization in Central Asia. The reclining Buddha usually represents the last moments of the historical Buddhist life and his entry into nirvana, and the construction of such a huge statue demonstrates the extraordinary importance of Bamiyan in the Buddhist world of the time. Over the years since the initial discovery, archaeologists have been able to reveal more details about the reclining Buddha of Bamiyan, although much of it is still hidden underground. Closer examination has shown that the structure was not simply a statue, but part of a larger religious complex. A member of the Japanese team says that we have found evidence of the complex architectural structures around the statue.
Probably a large temple or stupa of which the statue was part. There are also traces of corridors and rooms that may have been places of worship for pilgrims. One of the mysterious aspects of the discovery is how the statue was buried. Did Buddhist monks really hide it deliberately, or was it buried by natural factors such as an earthquake or flood? Geological evidence suggests that the layers of soil on the statue date back to different periods, and that a combination of human and natural factors over the centuries may have caused it to gradually disappear. One Afghan archaeologist has an interesting theory.
Examination of the layers of soil suggests that part of the statue may have been deliberately covered up in the early Islamic period, but other parts were gradually buried under the ground by seasonal floods and the numerous earthquakes that have occurred in the region. This may explain why the statue is not mentioned in medieval historical texts, while the two standing statues have always been famous. Laboratory tests on small samples taken from the upper layers estimate the statue's probable date of construction to be between the 3rd and 6th centuries AD. That is, slightly older than or contemporaneous with the standing statues. This was the height of Buddhism in the Bamiyan region. One of the most surprising aspects of the discovery is its probable construction technique. Unlike the standing statues, which were carved into the rock, the reclining Buddha was probably made using different techniques. Radar data shows that the statue rests on a stone foundation, and its main body is likely made of compacted clay, wood, and other organic materials, covered with a layer of plaster and paint. Dr. Fukuda adds that this construction technique was very advanced and demonstrates the extraordinary talent of the Bamiyan artists. The construction of a statue of this magnitude from relatively fragile materials required complex engineering knowledge that we need to investigate further. In addition to the statue itself, archaeologists have found evidence of murals, inscriptions, and other artifacts surrounding the statue. The findings suggest that the reclining Buddha of Bamiyan was part of a vast religious art complex that was perhaps the most important Buddhist shrine in Central Asia. Despite the extraordinary significance of the discovery, there is a long way to go before the reclining Buddha of Bamiyan is fully revealed. There are several technical, financial, and security challenges that have slowed the project's progress. The most important challenge is how to excavate and reveal the statue without damaging it. Dr. Abdul Hamid Rahmati, Deputy Director of the Afghan Department of Archaeology, says we need to use very precise and advanced excavation methods. The statue is likely made of fragile materials and has been under pressure for 1,500 years. A small mistake could lead to the destruction of parts of it. Another challenge is securing funding for a large, long-term excavation project. It is estimated that more than $100 million will be needed to fully expose and preserve the statue. UNESCO and the Japanese government are currently funding part of the study, but the main excavation project will require wider international support. Dr. Angela Martin-Lee, UNESCO's expert on cultural heritage, says we are in talks with various countries and private foundations to secure funding for this historic project. This is not just an archaeological project, but part of an effort to revive Afghanistan's cultural heritage after decades of war and destruction. In addition to technical and financial issues, the security situation in Afghanistan is also a major challenge for the project. With recent political developments, the future of cultural and archaeological projects in the country is in doubt. However, Professor Higuchi is optimistic. We believe that the cultural and historical value of this discovery is so great that it can be agreed upon by everyone, beyond political differences. This statue belongs to all of humanity, and it is our duty to protect it. If this project is successful, the reclining Buddhas of Bamiyan could play an important role in reviving cultural tourism in Afghanistan.
The Bamiyan Valley, which was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2003, is still one of the most important ancient sites in Asia, despite the loss of the standing statues. And the discovery of the third Buddha could multiply its importance. A cultural tourism expert says that imagine the day when the reclining Buddhas of Bamiyan are fully revealed and visitors can view this ancient masterpiece.
This could make Bamyan one of the world's most important cultural tourism destinations and contribute significantly to the local economy. Until that day, archaeologists will continue their studies with caution and patience to reveal more secrets of this hidden treasure. After 2,500 years of silence, the reclining Buddhas of Bamyan are slowly telling their story to the world. The third Buddha of Bamyan has gone from being a local legend to one of the most exciting archaeological discoveries of the century. This colossal statue, still largely buried underground, could one day become one of the wonders of the world and restore Bamyan to its former glory. This discovery reminds us that beneath our feet lie layers of history, and that there are still many secrets waiting to be discovered. It also shows that local legends, which are sometimes ignored, may contain valuable truths. The story of the sleeping Buddha of Bamyan is not over yet. This statue is still patiently waiting underground to one day see the light of day again and tell the amazing story of its civilization. Thank you for watching this video until the end, and for more historical videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel and support us by liking it. Thank you.